don't try to be so masculine, because that was my focus. Because I didn't want anyone to know who I am and the way I am. So I was inserting levels of masculinity that today I can handle that. But before, it would be difficult even to do things which is not masculine. Look at people, some that say trans or all different people, that was difficult to understand that, because I have this layer of masculinity in my head, because I have to perceive that sometimes stop me to see the bright and the beautiful outside different people. Today, of course, it's always clear for me, but it's another process that I have to handle it, even on the sexual interests, because I was too masculine to do certain things here and there, to bottle it to top. Those things creating a layer that you don't know how to get out, because you've been putting so much. So that would be something that I would say, like, be yourself, be flamboyant, be happy, and then don't matter what people are going to think.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Unapologaytic Podcast. My name is Pierre. I'm the founder of the ethical gay brand Unapologaytic, and today I'm talking to Gustavo, who describes himself as energetic and full of emotions, positivist giver, incredible ability to be different, ADHD, proud and loud, and your tribe attracts your vibe. So I copied that from your Instagram bio. So welcome, Gustavo. Thank you for talking to me.
Thanks for having me.
So let's start with the beginning and the basics. You're Brazilian, right?
I am, yes.
Whereabouts from?
I'm Brazilian from São Paulo countryside. It's an hour by. São Paulo is a small little city. Yeah.
Where do you live now?
So I live in London. Stratford is still a village. I've been here in London for 20 years by now.
Oh, so you've been in the UK even longer than I have.
I think so. How long have you been in the UK?
This year, I think it's going to be 17 years.
Oh, wow. There you go. Yeah, I was young and pretty, but I'm all gone now.
We're still young, still pretty. So is it your first time living in Europe, or have you lived in other countries before the UK?
No, that's the only different country that I ever lived before Brazil. So, yeah, study everything down there. Was the first time that I came was UK and London.
Cool. Okay. And as you probably know, because I forgot to say, actually, you are the best customer of Unapologaytic.
Oh, really?
So thank you. So
no problem.
That's why I wanted to speak to you, because it was my chance to actually say thank you, really, for your support.
Oh, wow. That's
it's been many years. Yeah, so I really can't thank you enough. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been many years.
So,
many designs.
When we were young and pretty.
Back on the days.
So, as you probably know, I started Unapologaytic because I wanted to deal with my own shame of growing up gay and being gay, even as a grown-up. Can you relate to that?
So, yeah, I think all to do with the brand and the message that you send is somehow, there is many people out there that they start to come out or try to get understand of what they feel, who they are, and also they have to, to level up the things that they've been growing with, they've been teaching to, and then goes out of these, elements of right and wrong. When it comes to a gay life, it's quite difficult, depending where you're coming from. So basically, I came from a Jewish Brazilian family that everything's based on family, religion, and follow patterns. All those things are very described. And for me, until I understand where does everything come from, I had to, first of all, quit all the things that I believed that was correct, to adapt to it and decide to believe and understand who I am. So I do completely relate to it, because sometimes the way you want to perceive is find different messages and find different points that you can, that's part of who I am. I'm not ashamed of doing this anymore. Let's say there's some of the t-shirts people probably wouldn't be able to use. Let's say a doctor has come out on his 55. I have a friend of mine that bought some of your t-shirts. He came out, I just helped him a little bit to come out after a while. And then he wants to buy some of the t-shirts, but there's some of the t-shirts that he wouldn't be able to to put it out because he comes from a very strict family. So this is a base, and this is a small, slow motion change. And the brand does represent something like that. You want to send a message. You want to be clear who you are. Even though it's in writing, people can buy your personality and everything else that in there. So I do relate to it completely. Yeah.
I can relate to in what you just shared is the fact that we are surrounded by straight imagery. So it's okay to see women objectified. It's okay to buy T-shirts with topless women and walk around that. Nobody bats an eyelid. But we wear T-shirt that says homo or that says daddy, that says what we care about, and we fear for our safety. I don't think that's fair.
I agree. I also think about that. You have, there's parameters that you believe that this thing should have been shown. That I met many people that never been able to do things that they really want to, just because they think how they're going to be judged in the extent of, oh wait, you do this, or you are this person. There is also this level of self-confidence that people didn't get yet. They're not so confident to do things, and sometimes using these types of attributes like a T-shirt or messages give you a little bit empower you a little bit to say something, even little, and that reflects to your self-esteem. You become something else stronger and stronger and stronger until the time that people look at it, you can read who you are. Not only the message, but who you are, how you present yourself, how you're looking around, and how people will be around you. With the message, is just a beginning for you just to baby steps to get to the point.
No, I so agree with that. The other thing is, for example, what I like with some designs, some are louder than others, but some designs, they're really, it's like a code. So if you don't know what it's about, you will walk past it. But if you know, like we do, then you think, oh, I know what you mean.
Makes sense.
I like that sort of, to me, that's my idea of community building, really. And it's reinforcing those codes while also paying tribute to the people who fought for us to be free today and who are still fighting.
Exactly. No, I agree. I think besides everything, a brand, a business that you do, there is always a way of contribute to a community and statements that people can relate to it at some point. And I think if people would ever understand the statements of being who you are, can give people a little chance to think about and probably develop your other feelings, they would always be thinking about that. So besides our business, there is the statement of the LGBT community that we are totally inserted right now, that you was not before, but now makes who you are now at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. So to go back to your Instagram bio, you describe yourself as positivist giver. What does that mean? When it comes to social parts, I think what I want to show, there is always self-esteem necessarily, that feed it in, but there is something else that you pass it out, which is a little messages, like positivity, like good words. There is always somebody else behind the telephone that's scrolling out around in there that needs a little message, whatever message it comes. A good day, or doesn't have a good day, and you leave a little message here and there, but there is always somebody expecting a little message from you. And I always believe that whatever you put in there that has to do with the sexuality, has to do with the happiness, has to do with anything else, there is always a message to it. So I would love to contribute to people like what they're looking for. Like this guy that I introduced to the brand, he was a doctor for 5 years, never become out. So he knows nothing. So I spent many times without even know he was not out yet, talking to him. I didn't even have his picture on my Instagram. I was giving attention, was talk. He was always, I think always start for the attraction for here and there, because, we always use that way. But I continue talking. I never bother. I didn't mind who was or not. And that gives him a chance to think, develop the idea, and after a year it came out. And I didn't even know that. I came to know all those details after. So that's pretty much what I think about that. Sometimes attention and be there and give a little bit of the thoughts and pass the right message, give somebody else an opportunity to do something or be something or start up and take some decisions, I think that's probably pretty much what my social media is about. That's a great life mission, and it's a great way to be in the world. So
definitely.
That's great. And what's your ability to be different?
I don't know. Like you wrote on my, you saw my Instagrams that I am very proud of my ADHD, which is a disability that causes many. There is a lot of negative points, but there is a lot of positive points. And one of the positive points is like you like to be there for people. You like to help creating a social emotion, creating a social ability to bring people together, care about details. So that all those things are part of my daily basis, like promoting your brand. I don't need anything in return. But for me, I'm promoting somebody else that's starting a business, and then I'm a statement to my community that's the business I want to be there. All those things without any return that I'm never looking for. That's probably what's the most important, I guess.
Thanks again. Thank you. And what do you mean by your tribe attracts your vibe?
Have you been on the place that I would think that when I'm in the place, I wanted to people feel confident and then feel comfortable to be around me. It's not for the fact that who I am or how do I look like. For the vibe, for the energy that you kind of enable people to see it. Let's say if I'm going around, you're going to see me laughing, you're going to see me interacting, you're going to be interesting to do things. And today people are looking for moments that they can connect to you without any return. Just be listening or something like that. So that's exactly what I mean. Be able to deliver this vibe. People are going to be around you. You want to be around you. You want to be part of your plans. They want to get to know you because the vibe, the energy that you translate is something that they're looking for. A positive energy brings positive energy. So negative attracts a negative. That's what I believe.
Yeah, well, that's been proven. I was watching a YouTube video earlier about vibration. And there has been hundreds of studies, I guess, about that. And one of my teachers, I don't know if you've heard of her, she's called Louise Hay. And she always used to say, what you give out comes back to you. I mean, she's not the only one saying that. That's another principle, like where there is an action, there's a reaction.
There's a reaction. I agree 100%. And you telling me that make me remember one thing, because I've always been a strong believer on giving without expecting receiving. Before I came to, when I came to London, a friend of mine gave me this, this London guide in translate to my own language, just to give an opportunity for me to visit a few places on my own language because I didn't speak any other English. And then it was written messages for my best friend, blah, blah, blah. I wish you the best. I know you're going to be a new challenging, but at least here is the language that you can read until you learn the best language that's where you're going for. And blah, blah, blah. If it stays like that, I will love the person who sent it to me. And then I used that for a few years. Then I started working somewhere else. At some point, after a few years, I was working on the brands that I used to work. And it was this couple, Brazilian couple, that came to visit, to eat there. And then, he's a Brazilian, blah, blah, blah. And for some reason, I have this guide on my book, and they have completely lost where to go. He said, I'm going to give you the guide because it will be good use for me. And one day, you're going to pass to somebody else. Long story short, what happened that after years and years and years, that returned to my sister hands. With all the messages that you have there. So I think the idea is you sending one positive message, get to another. How did it return to me? I don't know. But somehow my sister was coming to London, and a friend of hers gave her the guide, which the one I sent that 7 years ago behind. It's all the messages that you're giving to whatever. So look at how that works, the energy, the positive chain that you're giving without receiving. One day return to the person that needed it was my own sister.
How amazing. Oh, that's funny, really good. Yeah. And I was lucky to take some photos of you. Was it your first time modeling or?
That was my first time. But you're saying that lucky, but I was lucky to figure out things that I haven't figured out before, And I don't think probably I told you that, but when I went to do the photo shoot, I was completely stressed out because I don't know. I didn't understand my body physique and everything else. And there's a lot of things that you accept, accept. Is it body positive or not? And then that day, talking to you and release a little bit of my stress and be of myself, I understand the best part of me is inside of my head, not inside of my body or outside of my body. And then some of the pictures reflect that in the very end, not in the very beginning, but in the very end, because I was kind of relaxed. And then you kind of awake the feeling I understand that my love of being who I am is not on the shape I am, but what I can predict, and I can, exile that. And then I understood that on that very day. And then since then, my attitude towards myself and, the judge that you're doing mentally and everything else has changed a little bit. And it was kind of interesting, very interesting.
That's really interesting. Actually, I'm not surprised, but yeah, because I've never modeled.
Okay.
And it must be quite, but I always think that it must be quite triggering for people who've never done it before.
Yeah,
because do you think there's a difference between posting selfies? Because there's quite a lot of selfies on your Instagram. What's the difference between taking a selfie and being photographed by someone else?
So when you're taking a picture of yourself, you are self-confident that you're doing the best. And you have no shame of showing yourself to yourself, because it's your own moment. So nobody sees that. You're being ridiculous, you're being funny, you're being, expressive. But when you let somebody else take, you have to represent what's the outside to inside to outside. And represent that, you have to dim the shame, all the negative feelings that you have, that you are not good enough. You have to dim that down. So you can represent that body-wise, like the vibe. You're going to buy the vibe. That's what I always tell. You're going to buy the sensations. Everything when you put it out, you feel like, wow, that's what I like it. Sometimes it could be the same picture. Everybody else did the same picture, but if your vibe doesn't reflect there, it'll be something else that people doesn't like to look like. And people want to see things that reflects your own. So that's what's I think the difference between.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, I thought that was also maybe the stress of not being in control. So, for example, when we were doing the photo shoot, I was the one taking the photo, and because obviously you have to be present during the shot, so you can't really see what I'm doing, except the times when I show you. So maybe is that also stress of, I don't know what I look like, I don't know what vibe I'm giving.
Yeah, it does, because, I normally like to have control of what I do, because it gives me security, right? Yeah. So most of the things are, especially with the condition that I have, it's quite important for me to understand that I know the pace that I'm taking, the way that I'm following. When I do that, I have to be very vulnerable to not think about that I have zero control. And then that shouldn't come into my head. So that is like a big deal, to let somebody else take a picture and you be there and just see what's going to reply. Because my replication of it is not for the self-esteem, it's not for feeling bad, but it's just a replication of like, what can you take from the outside to inside? And that's what's pretty much what happened then.
And the other thing is, how do you handle the attention you get on social media?
Okay, I've been thinking a lot about this. What is the focal point? But I think, especially when you're in the gay community, there is a lot of related to it. Sexuality is related to it. The way you dress, where you are, the friends that you have, the place that you visit, because always people, so there is all those ways that people are looking for some messages that you can send. But so most of all has to do in create self-awareness, create statements, sometimes be nice to people, like let's say how many people you would reply if somebody send a message, there's no picture in there. No, probably you wouldn't reply. So those little elements that probably keeps me more alive on social media, and people sometimes get more connected than they want to be. There is a visual part of it, of course, there's always help, but there's when people start to see a little bit of your parts of your life in any details, that's when people start to be interested. So I'm not showing only, sometimes I show my kitchen, the food I do, because there's all different elements that people are interested. It's not only one element. But also, when you promote something, people are interested to know. Like it's like that. It's very visual. You show me something that I really like. It. Oh, there's something interesting. Where can I get it? So there's always a promotion part of it that probably brings people more interested to it as well.
I mean, to go back to actually the photo shoot thing, that's why I like to really make sure that I allow enough time before to speak to the model, so that I can put them comfortable and they feel safe. I feel safe. Not that I don't feel safe, but I'm also an introvert, so I need time to sort of
adjust and
arrive,
everything.
and and just make sure that we both get on, and we're ready to start, really.
Yeah, there's an element of a trust as well that you have to build somehow.
Exactly.
Even though people doesn't see that, you have to build the trust and the rapport between people that you're doing that, because you're going to see me on underwear or something else, and maybe I'm not really confident of seeing the people unless I am not in a different situation. But all those elements has to be built up slowly, and it was quite nice. Like the way we start, you had a conversation in the car. You were telling me about what do you believe when your brand came, the ideas when you change the names, what you are focused. So all those things give me elements of wow, that's interesting. That's interesting. So the element of interesting makes you feel a little bit more settled, and that's when the magic works a little bit.
Yeah, and I think the trust, I have to establish trust regardless of whether you end up in underwear or not, really. It doesn't really matter. It's just that, as you were saying earlier, it's about you feeling comfortable to show me yourself.
Yeah.
Not physically, but your true self. That's really special.
So that's when the bubbling starts boiling out, because I was being myself, but I was always conscious of how to pose and what to do, and then what the direction could go. But at the mid of the stage, I was feeling so more comfortable that I was not interested on the results, but I was just probably putting what I could put out and how could I feel comfortable. So from the middle stage to ahead, that's when I realized there that I was having a good time. Then I said, yes, I am having a good time. So I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. So the shame left. The trust was built, and then, the result was there. Yeah, it wasn't the best pictures ever, but there is a lot of pictures that I see.
What do you mean?
I mean, in the beginning I was a little bit, so I couldn't probably develop that well. But I mean, from the middle ahead, I can look to my pictures and relate to it. Yes, that's the time you are having a good time now. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. even before you felt comfortable, I like that.
Probably on my mind, I wasn't that comfortable. But until you sorted out the thing that goes on your head and you represent on your face, that's what I was talking about.
And out of all the T-shirts you have from Unapologaytic, which one is your favorite? Is it the one you're wearing now, or is another one?
This one, because it represents many things in a colorful. And then I always want to, if you see everything what I have, there's a little bit of color. And there is, if you see on my room, there's a little bit of color. There is on my laptop, there's a little bit of color. It's just because the colors represent something else that I've never been able to do before. Because when it wasn't come out, these things are not able to use, because color represents LGBT. Today, I'm so confident and I know what I am that for me, it's extremely important to make sure that people understand my statement. Not because I wanted to show anything or there's anything else, but that's the statement that people want to relate one day. Wow! Because when I see there one day, I want to do the same. And today, look what I am. I'll give a little example. I just got married recently in March, and then
congratulations.
Thank you. We've been 10 years together, but I always want to get married because, as a Jewish culture, I don't even know. Family is the most important base for the culture, taken out of the religion part of it, but the family. And I used to see this little weddings, because I used to live very close to the church. So from 5:30 to 7:30, there is a half an hour, there is one wedding. So I would sit there and look at that, loving all this, all those things happening. Sometimes I'll cry here and there. And that stuck to my head, that's what the element that I would like to do, even though I'm gay. For time, I thought in my life that I would never do that because I was gay. I would never be able to share a stage or a wedding or something else with somebody else that I love, for the simple fact that for us, it's not ready for it. And then when I decided to get married, I told it to my spouse, my idea to get married, of course, to fulfill a dream that I always wanted, even though that I thought I couldn't never have it, but also to be a statement for people that knows that we've been 10 years together and we're getting married. If you ever thought that gay marriage doesn't work or relationship doesn't work, it is a lie. You made your own story, And that very day on my wedding, my cousin came out as a gay.
Oh,
because of the statement.
Well done.
So all those things are very important. When you're sending a message, you have always to think that this little pattern of you will send a little message that's gonna breathe and gonna grow on somebody until the day they're gonna make a decision, and that's the very most important thing that I believe.
And when your cousin came out, was that premeditated, or they just happened?
I didn't know that because she's a very pretty girl, very pretty girl. You'd never say that she probably is a lesbian or not, just because of the stereotype that you see here and that, or the way they speak, or the way they pronounce, or anything else. But I never knew. And my family is a very traditional family. Those things you don't tell, like I told my father, but they never talked to me anymore after 20 years. Well, my mom did. So all those things, that. So for her, she was pretty, she was nice, she was really successful. So it was very difficult to come to that and all family that she was a lesbian on that time. When she saw the wedding, she came to tell me, you know what happened? I always wanted to do that, but I didn't know how. But that example shows my parents and everybody else who is here, was like 300 people in the wedding, that it is work. So I don't have the fear that's never going to work. I don't have the fear how because you are being accepted very well, and you have people will respect you. So I want the same thing. And then it was the very day that she told her father officially, probably he thought about or something else. She never had a boyfriend. But officially, she went out, and all the family knew that it was her position from now on, and including the friend that she brought to the wedding was her girlfriend that nobody knew.
That's nice. So what happened to the girlfriend? Was she welcomed officially?
She was super welcomed, and then from that day, she started to post on social media. But there is this little conversation that I have after. She said that the difficult and shame of being who I am, for being very pretty and not related to anything that could be a lesbian thing, is also a difficult. Because to come out is even difficult because people are expecting so much. And then see here and there today, I want to show who I am. I continue to be who I am, nothing related to any stereotypes that people want, but I am proud of it. So developing the proud of it is quite depend on the moments that you are, the people that are around you, because you might not be able to develop yourself. And little messages always bring this back.
You said your father stopped talking to you when you came out.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. So when I came to London, my idea to come to London is to start a new understanding away from my Jewish culture and everything else that would always bring me to one box, get married to a woman, and that I didn't want to. I wanted to analyze and understand who I am. So I passed this process like for a few years until I accept who I am with all these difficulties. And then I decided to tell my father, because what based us, our culture is be truth, be not lies. Lies that are things that kill us inside. So I wanted them to know that for the worst what comes, that I was being honest and true to myself, and telling them the truth, because I don't want them to be the last one to know. So I sent an email to my father, because my father would have been impossible to talk via phone for being very demanding, very difficult. So I sent an email explaining all the details, what I was, what I didn't want to be, because I think that his fears of the way I'm going to dress, the way I'm going to behave, the way I'm going to talk, if I'm going to dress like a woman, because all these stereotype people thinks about gay, I wanted to clear this off. I did. And that's very first day, never more. He never spoke to me anymore because of this. He included passed away on June, and then June past year, and I wasn't able to connect back.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that.
It was a hardcore. Yeah, no, it's the life continues, but now I understand that those things is opening doors and closing doors. Unfortunately, few people they are not able to understand you, and that is not their fault. They only do what they can do with the tools they have.
Exactly.
Unfortunately. Yeah. So judging from me couldn't be any judge, because they couldn't do only so much they could,
Yeah, I feel like when I came out, my mother had a nervous breakdown, and I really think that at the time, so that was just after my parents divorced, so we were living at my grandmother's. But I really feel like if we weren't living at my grandmother's, my mother would have kicked me out.
Oh, okay.
And, the paradox, so to speak, is that my father has always been really supportive. And when I told him I was launching a gay brand, he said to me, "Oh, you should have started that much earlier."
Oh, you see, yeah, I think that's the element of sometimes people are not ready to understand, but it does make our life difficult, because if they could at least give us a little bit of breeze of understand, would help us to step forward a little bit easily and softly than the
Yeah.
hardcore that you give it to yourself when you think about things. You probably went through all those same things before you creating a gay brand. Oh my God, can I create a gay brand? How are people going to see that? What is that people are going to think about me? Probably all those things come to your head because you did share that with me. And that's happening to everybody else in many ways,
Yeah, I think so. And it's important to inspire people as much as possible.
Yeah, I think there is this element of fulfilling that people didn't find yet that was inspiring people on a very emotional and a very truthness way. Like whatever you are, like where I live here, when I moved in the lockdown in this house, nobody could see anyone, nobody could talk to anyone. We were being talked before even did that. And then my idea was to create a community that I could probably be a base or be helpful or create an element of communication and meeting ups and everything else. So I created a gay group on the village that started with 7 people that I knew from here. And today it's 250 people. We don't know everybody else because it's a village here. So all the buildings are very close. We have everything else. We have a gay bar. We have a restaurant. So we have the dogs. So everybody meeting up on the dogs. And this community creates, there is people from this community, they're only friends through this. They have 0 friends. Or people that came out that they didn't know what to do because, first event. So that's element of be influencing people on a positive way and probably think of giving instead of only receiving. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I didn't know about that community. What's it called?
Yeah, it's called East Village LGBT. I have Instagram and everything else. I have meetings everywhere.
Okay, so I'll put the links in the show notes, definitely.
And the parts that I normally do at my place was the village parts. I have the drag summer party, I have the Halloween party, and that brings everybody together. Today you have ability to go everywhere because the lockdown is finished. But that was an element of connection because so many people make friends through this. Probably would be very introvert to make, but through this they did. And today they feel super comfortable, no?
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, yeah. Well done. And do you have a favorite gay or queer LGBTQ either book, show, podcast to share?
Well, I don't have any of those things. But the only thing that I look at to somebody when you represent for me something strong, it was when I was about to come out. I went out to a gay club for the very first time. Worried that somebody going to see me. I mean, you can imagine if somebody me see, of course, if they are there, they probably doing the same thing. But in my head, they couldn't digest that. So I decided instead of saying the dance floor, I stay in the bar down the lounge. And it was passing that farewell tour from Cher that I was watching for 2 hours, which represents for me the day that I went out and I come out for myself looking there. So every time I look into these songs, or there are some songs that represent such a good lyrics. I remember the moment that I was strong to get out of it. And that creates a certain, idol for me. Like I saw her a few times and things like that. But there is a message. So relating to people in this way on the music or something else that was give you a little bit more insight to do things,
Yeah, absolutely.
Nothing specific and not special, but because I never remember details here and there. But that's specifically, until today I have that in my mind.
What's your idea of embracing who you are?
Okay. That's for a very long time I didn't know exactly what it means, but today, like few years past, I know exactly. Embracing who you are is like you feel 0 shame for what you do and how you do. Let's say people who would judge you because you went to a sauna, or people who would judge because you have more than 3 dates in one night, or whatever. So all the judgings that people think they should not do it because it doesn't represent the best quality of a human being. When you do these things and you care, you don't care about what people are going to think, that you know who you are. It's just because you do the fact that you want to do. I feel to do whatever is need to do, but there is nothing related to what people are going to think. And that gives you a little bit of a strength that people look at, okay, it's not only the opinion, but it's a way of being. Way of being represents confidence. So that's pretty much that.
That's beautiful. Anything else you wanted to share or talk about?
I think if there is anyone listening to it or listen to what you've been saying so far, and there is only any need of asking questions or be a little bit more sharing or asking for details, coming out or something else, don't hesitate to contact us and talk to me. I will be happy to drive you through and give you some attention if that's what you need.
Oh, how nice. Beautiful. And how old were you when you came out?
I was 32 when I came out. I was come out very late. Yeah.
And how old were you when you came out to yourself?
To myself, I was 24 when I came to London. It took a few years for me to disconnect from religion, disconnect from friends that probably would judge me for who I am, and then start to develop my self-confidence about it. So it took a few years. So I was pretty much 32 when I come out, because I was getting married to my first husband. So this is my second husband. And then and I have to introduce him to my family. So I want to come. So that's when I came out to everybody.
And during in the years between you came out to yourself and you came out to everybody, what was it like? Did you experience a lot of internal?
Yeah, I think it's the hardcore of coming out is acceptance. It's not when people knows you're gay or not. There's nothing to do with that. But that's when you kill the devils that's inside of you, that telling you that you're not good enough or that what you are shouldn't be this way. So all those feelings, all these mental blocks that tell you a lot of shit during the night, when you wake up, makes you anxious. When you dim that, that's the time that you are really out, not when you tell anybody else. So you're in a confidence to tell you, like if I'm going some places, I'm not going to tell anyone I'm gay, but I would never stop an opportunity to make sure that they know who I am, in a way that they respect. So when you do that, that's the time that you dim. And these years are the hardest years, to be honest.
Yeah, I haven't experienced that myself, but I still had my share of mental health issues.
Exactly,
it was. I can imagine that must be quite traumatizing.
But that's because I was away. There was a chance for me to deal with that on my own in my own way, without being judged for anything else. It took years because I've been raised and bred on a culture that I have to take off 30 years of my life of understanding to adapt something else that wasn't there at the first place. When the roots come from the beginning, it's difficult to cut the roots and try to build out something else back again. So it's a fight of mind and reality, and then adapt that to believe that whoever you are is good enough. Once you get there, that's how people feel. That's what people can see around. I wanted to be around you because you are in your own element self, and that's what represents you. Yeah.
Nice. And what kind of reactions do you get when you wear an Unapologaytic t-shirt?
Many reactions. Many, from sexual reactions to compliment reactions to date reactions. There's a lot of things.
Oh.
People note those days.
Really?
But they love the message. Of course, they love the message. And then I think it's all part of the show, getting attention. Everybody loves to get attention. This is part of self-confidence, and then and also sends the right message that you are on the right path, or you're confident who you are. But that is always interesting people looking for a different message or looking for a nice different type of fabrics and everything else. But there's all type of people that be related to it.
Yeah, definitely. And is there anything you would like to say to your younger self in terms of coming out, encouragement, all these kind of things?
Yes, I think I do. All my childhood, I was a very introvert person, which I didn't understand the world around me. Everything was probably very intense, and I couldn't make sense of it. And because of that, I had zero confidence. I wasn't talking to anyone. I had zero friends until my 11 and 13. That when I went for a little bit of a psychology treatment, they gave me a year and a half. That's when it busted total my confidence and understanding who I am. So what I would say to my young self, don't let those things build up your whoever you are, because that's going to be a fake news, fake message that's going to block the essence of who you are today. If I could, if I was who I am today on the bad days, I could have helped many people. I could be happier. But of course, time is the limit for everything. But if I could ever say to something to me, is like, don't let those things block who you are, because you shine bright when you are yourself, your element self.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
the problem, in my opinion, or in my experience as well, is that the way I was socialized as a young boy was to, not cry, not show emotions, not prove that I wasn't gay. So it's not enough to just not be gay. You have to really show that. I had to show that I wasn't gay. So that was horrible, really. So that I had to overcome a few things.
Yeah, you're saying that. I remember that. Don't try to be so masculine, because that was my focus. Because I didn't want anyone to know who I am and the way I am. So I was inserting levels of masculinity that today I can handle that. But before, it would be difficult even to do things which is not masculine. Look at people, some, let's say, trans or all different people, that was difficult to understand that, because I have this layer of masculinity in my head, because I have to perceive that sometimes stop me to see the bright and the beautiful outside different people. Today, of course, it's always clear for me, but it's another process that I have to handle it, even on the sexual interests, because I was too masculine to do certain things here and there, to bottle it to top. Those things creating a layer that you don't know how to get out, because you've been putting so much. So that would be something that I would say, like, be yourself, be flamboyant, be happy, and then don't matter what people are going to think.
That's very true. And do you ever feel objectified on social media or even in real life?
I think objectively everybody else feels a little bit here and there for what you can represent, what you can offer. I don't think there is a wrong or good part of it. There is a beneficial part of it that sends a very different message. There is a way of people looking for objectifying you, but the only I believe that if you are delivering some messages, and if you help somebody else to get whatever message they want to, that's fine.
Yeah. I think, personally, I don't like being objectified. I don't see anything beneficial in being objectified. And I'm asking you because you are Brazilian. So in the UK, in most parts of the world, let's be honest, there's some sort of, there is that sort of sexual connotation. Do you feel that?
The negative connotation, of course, I don't like it. Like, if you talk to somebody else on an app, let's say, and you say that the Brazilians, they already, there is this sort of conversation that they're going to have. They put you in a little box. I never like to be in any box, but I think that's an opportunity for you to prove people wrong sometimes in the ways they think about. Let's say they think I'm Brazilian, so they think that everything else, or they ever ask me, in Brazil, everybody's poor, or old people live in favelas. All those things that people think about, unfortunately, they've been seeing that. There is a fake news, there is all those things that I'm not going to be able to change their mind unless I can show them with my own way of being and who I am and what's the respect that I can give, and that they can change their minds. So objectify is on people's heads for the fact that they have no access to a real truth, but they accept that. But change their minds, it wouldn't be something else that's going to happen that day tonight. It's always going to happen, but the time that you have opportunity to be yourself and be there and people get to know you, say, okay, yes, nothing that I expect. Maybe you heard about many times, I didn't expect that. Exactly, because you have all those stereotypes on your head that already give you an idea that doesn't exist. So get to know me. And then you put your own ideas, because people are different. Being Brazilians or not, everybody is a different human being,
Yeah, exactly. And it's always better to actually ask questions rather than assuming.
Yeah, I always like to prove people wrong on a good way, because I want them to taste what's the real person, not what they think. So that is a main opportunity that happen, and I feel good. So that's my probably aim to do it.
Well, that's a nice way to finish. So, was there anything else you wanted to say or share?
No, I think that's all. But as I said, if there is anything else that's in need or somebody needs to talk or something else, you can contact me. I would love just to give some top tips in here and there. There is always somebody else to answer your questions or something.
Yeah, that's the beauty of
yes, I love this. I'm always going to love it.
compared to like 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
Have access to
now, yeah. Now that, I mean, I don't think everything is better now, but at least this particular, I think the support network around, being able to make a phone call or even have a chat online.
It helps.
That already is amazing. So,
definitely.
Yeah. So where can people find you on Instagram?
Where people can find me on Instagram?
Everywhere.
Everywhere. Maybe on the website, there's some of them. Through your t-shirts, there are some of my pictures in there. But if somebody wanted to follow, it's a good2_Figueira. It's my surname.
Okay, so I put that in the show notes.
Okay.
Thank you, not just for the interview, but for your support through
definitely.
the years.
I want to support you as a business and community and everything else. I think it's quite important.
And I look forward to our next photo shoot.
Yeah, definitely.
So, thanks again, Gustavo.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
and thanks everyone for listening and watching.
Thanks for having me.
Bye. Bye.
Ciao, ciao.